An organized life is not built in one day. It is built the day you stop making excuses and start taking control. Do you feel like your life is becoming harder to manage? Are unfinished tasks, distractions, and daily stress keeping you from becoming the person you want to be? In this video, you will learn why most people stay stuck in disorder and how to finally force yourself to organize your life. You will discover how to stop avoiding important responsibilities, take control of your time, clear the things that drain your attention, stay organized during difficult days, and build habits that keep your life on track. If you are tired of feeling overwhelmed and ready to create more order, focus, and control in your life, stay with me until the end. What you are about to hear could completely change the way you manage your days and your future. Chapter 1. Stop letting your life fall apart. One of the hardest things to admit is that life does not fall apart all at once. It happens little by little. A missed task becomes a missed week. A messy room becomes a stressful environment. An unpaid bill becomes a bigger problem. A delayed decision becomes a lost opportunity. Most people do not wake up one morning and decide to live in disorder. They simply stop paying attention to small things. And over time, those small things begin to control their lives. If you want to organize your life, the first step is not buying a planner. It is not downloading an app. It is not creating a perfect schedule. The first step is being honest. You have to look at your life exactly as it is, not as you wish it was, not as you hope it will become someday. Look at it honestly. Ask yourself some difficult questions. Are there things you have been avoiding? Are there responsibilities sitting in the background of your mind every day? Are there conversations you need to have? Are there goals you keep talking about but never start? Are there areas of your life that create stress every time you think about them? Many people stay busy all day but still feel stuck. They move from one distraction to another. They scroll through their phones. They watch videos. They complain about being tired. Yet the important things remain untouched. Deep down, they know exactly what needs attention, but they keep pushing it away. The problem is not lack of intelligence. The problem is not lack of ability. The problem is that avoiding problems feels easier in the moment. But every avoided responsibility comes with a cost. It sits in your mind. It drains your energy. It steals your focus. It creates pressure that follows you everywhere. You know what that feels like. You sit down to relax, but your mind reminds you of unfinished work. You try to enjoy your day, but there is a feeling that something important is waiting for you. You wake up in the morning already feeling behind. That is not because life is attacking you. That is because unfinished responsibilities are asking for your attention. The good news is that your life can start changing very quickly, not because everything becomes perfect overnight. It changes because the moment you stop running from what needs to be done, you begin taking back control. Think about how powerful that is. One decision can start the process. One action can create momentum. One organized space can change how you feel. One completed task can give you confidence. One honest conversation can remove weeks of stress. People often underestimate how much emotional weight they carry every day. Every unfinished commitment takes up space in the mind. Every broken promise to yourself weakens your confidence. Every ignored responsibility creates tension. Over time, that tension becomes normal. Many people live with it for so long that they forget what peace feels like. Organizing your life is not only about creating order around you, it is about creating peace inside you. When you know where things belong, your mind feels calmer. When you know what needs to be done, your focus becomes stronger. When you keep your word to yourself, your confidence begins to grow. That is why personal organization is really about self-respect. It is a way of saying that your future matters. It is a way of proving that your goals deserve attention. It is a way of showing yourself that your life is worth managing carefully. Many people wait until life becomes painful before they make changes. They wait until they are overwhelmed. They wait until deadlines are missed. They wait until relationships become strained. They wait until stress becomes unbearable. But wisdom says to act before the situation becomes serious. Start paying attention to the small things. Look around your environment. Notice what is creating unnecessary stress. Notice what is draining your energy. Notice what keeps getting postponed. Then start addressing those things one by one. Do not try to fix everything today. That approach usually leads to frustration. Focus on progress. Focus on one area. Focus on one task. Focus on one responsibility. Then finish it. The feeling you get from completion is powerful. It reminds you that you are capable. It reminds you that you are not stuck. Many people spend years wishing their lives were different. Very few spend time creating the systems that make different results possible. Success is not built on wishes. Confidence is not built on wishes. An organized life is not built on wishes. It is built on daily actions that are repeated consistently. There will be days when you do not feel motivated. There will be days when you would rather avoid responsibility. There will be days when distractions seem more appealing. That is normal. Human beings do not always feel like doing what is necessary. The difference is that successful people learn how to act even when they do not feel like it. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you become stronger. Every time you finish what you started, you build trust in yourself. Every time you bring order to one area of your life, you create momentum for the next area. The person you want to become is not created by dramatic changes. That person is created through small daily decisions. Decisions to clean up what has been neglected. Decisions to face problems directly. Decisions to stop making excuses. Decisions to take responsibility. Your life deserves attention. Your goals deserve effort. Your future deserves structure. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop hoping things will organize themselves. Stop assuming tomorrow will automatically be better. Take control of what is in front of you today. Handle what you have been avoiding. Finish what needs to be finished. Put things where they belong. Make decisions that your future self will appreciate. Because the moment you stop letting your life fall apart is the moment your life starts coming together. And that moment can begin today. Chapter 2. Face the mess you keep avoiding. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to organize their lives is not because they are lazy. It is not because they lack talent. It is not because they are incapable. The real reason is much deeper. They keep avoiding things they know they should face. Human beings have a natural tendency to move toward comfort and away from discomfort. The problem is that many of the things that improve life are uncomfortable in the beginning. Looking at your finances can feel uncomfortable. Cleaning a space that has been neglected for months can feel uncomfortable. Opening messages you have ignored can feel uncomfortable. Dealing with unfinished responsibilities can feel uncomfortable. Yet every time you avoid these things, they become heavier. Think about how many people wake up every morning carrying invisible pressure. They smile around others. They go through their daily routine. They try to stay positive. But deep inside, there are things they know need attention. There are tasks they keep delaying. There are decisions they keep postponing. There are areas of life they keep hoping will somehow improve without action. That hidden pressure follows them throughout the day. It affects their energy. It affects their focus. It affects how they feel about themselves. A person can look successful on the outside while feeling completely overwhelmed on the inside. They may have goals, they may have dreams, they may have good intentions, but there is a growing pile of unfinished business sitting quietly in the background. Every day that pile grows a little larger. Every day it asks for attention. Every day it steals a little more peace of mind. The truth is simple. The things you avoid do not disappear. They wait. They remain in the background of your life until you finally deal with them. Ignoring a problem does not solve it. Delaying responsibility does not remove it. Looking away from disorder does not create order. Time alone cannot fix what requires action. Many people spend years searching for motivation when what they really need is courage. Courage to open the drawer filled with paperwork they have ignored. Courage to look at the bank account they have avoided checking. Courage to admit that certain habits are creating unnecessary problems. Courage to face reality exactly as it is. There is something powerful that happens when you stop running from what needs attention. You begin to feel stronger, not because the problem immediately disappears, but because you are no longer allowing it to control you. The moment you face something directly, you take away some of its power over your mind. Think about a task you have delayed for weeks or even months. Before you started it, it probably felt huge. It probably felt stressful. You may have imagined it would take forever. Then eventually you sat down and handled it. Often you discover that the task itself was not nearly as painful as the mental burden of avoiding it. This happens every day in people's lives. The fear of dealing with something becomes larger than the thing itself. The mind creates stories. It creates excuses. It creates reasons to wait. Meanwhile, nothing improves. Days pass, weeks pass. Sometimes years pass. Organizing your life requires a different approach. It requires becoming the kind of person who faces things early instead of late. A person who handles problems while they are still small. A person who addresses responsibilities before they become emergencies. A person who refuses to let avoidance become a lifestyle. That change starts with honesty. You have to stop pretending that everything is fine when you know certain areas need attention. You have to stop making excuses for habits that are creating disorder. You have to stop telling yourself that tomorrow will somehow be different if you keep doing the same things. Real growth begins when you look directly at your situation and say, "This needs my attention, not next month, not next year, today." Many people underestimate how much confidence comes from handling unfinished business. Every time you complete something you have been avoiding, you strengthen your belief in yourself. Every time you face a difficult situation, you build emotional strength. Every time you deal with a responsibility, instead of postponing it, you become more reliable in your own eyes. Self-confidence is not created by positive thinking alone. It grows when you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Trusted to follow through, trusted to make decisions, trusted to handle challenges, trusted to face reality. Imagine walking into a room that has been disorganized for a long time. Papers are scattered, items are out of place. Everything feels chaotic. At first, the situation may seem overwhelming, but then you begin. One item at a time, one section at a time, one decision at a time. Gradually the room changes. The environment becomes clearer. The stress begins to fade. The same thing happens in life. You do not need to solve every problem today. You do not need to organize every area in one afternoon. You simply need to stop avoiding the next thing that requires attention. Many people make the mistake of waiting until they feel ready. Readiness is often a myth. Action creates readiness. Movement creates momentum. Progress creates confidence. The longer you wait, the harder things seem. The sooner you begin, the easier it becomes to continue. There is a reason organized people appear calmer. It is not because they have fewer responsibilities. In many cases, they have more responsibilities. The difference is that they deal with things. They do not allow tasks to pile up endlessly. They do not let small problems grow unnoticed. They make decisions. They take action. They stay engaged with their lives. You have the ability to do the same. The skills are not reserved for a special group of people. Organization is not a talent that some people are born with. It is a habit. It is a choice. It is a daily practice of facing reality instead of avoiding it. There will always be something that demands your attention. There will always be responsibilities. There will always be challenges. That is part of life. The goal is not to eliminate responsibility. The goal is to become stronger in how you respond to it. Every time you face something you have been avoiding, you send yourself an important message. You remind yourself that you are capable. You remind yourself that you can handle difficult situations. You remind yourself that your future is more important than your temporary comfort. Your life changes when avoidance stops being your strategy. Your life changes when responsibility becomes your habit. Your life changes when you stop hoping problems will solve themselves and start becoming the person who solves them. Look carefully at what you have been avoiding. Be honest about it. Write it down if necessary. Bring it into the light. Give it a name. Then begin dealing with it one step at a time. Because the path to an organized life is not hidden. It starts with facing the mess you keep avoiding and refusing to look away any longer. The moment you face it, you begin taking your life back. Chapter 3. Fix what you have ignored for years. There comes a point in life when you have to stop looking only at what happened this week and start looking at what has been happening for years. Most people do not struggle because of one bad day. They struggle because certain problems have been sitting in the background for a very long time. These problems become familiar. They become part of the daily routine. Eventually, people stop noticing them. What once felt wrong starts to feel normal. What once demanded attention starts getting ignored. This is one of the biggest dangers when it comes to organizing your life. Many people are carrying issues that should have been addressed years ago. Some have neglected their health. Some have neglected their finances. Some have neglected their personal growth. Others have neglected important relationships. There are people who have spent years living below their potential because they became comfortable with things staying unfinished. The mind has a strange way of adapting. If something remains unresolved long enough, it begins to feel permanent. A person starts believing that their situation simply is what it is. They stop expecting improvement. They stop believing change is possible. They stop challenging the patterns that have kept them stuck. That way of thinking is dangerous because it steals possibility. The moment you accept disorder as normal, you stop looking for solutions. The moment you convince yourself that nothing can improve, you stop making an effort to improve it. Take a close look at your own life. There may be areas that have remained unchanged for years. Maybe there is a goal that keeps getting pushed into the future. Maybe there is a skill you always wanted to learn. Maybe there is a financial problem that keeps creating stress. Maybe there is a habit that has been draining your energy for a long time. The longer something remains ignored, the easier it becomes to believe it cannot be fixed. But that belief is often false. Most people are not trapped by circumstances as much as they are trapped by patterns. They repeat the same actions. They make the same decisions. They follow the same routines. Then they wonder why nothing changes. An organized life requires a willingness to interrupt those patterns. It requires the courage to examine what has been neglected and ask an important question. Why has this remained the same for so long? Sometimes the answer is fear. Sometimes it is uncertainty. Sometimes it is disappointment from past failures. Sometimes it is simple neglect. Whatever the reason, progress begins when you stop defending the problem and start confronting it. Think about the relief people feel when they finally deal with something that has bothered them for years. It may be a debt they finally begin paying off. It may be a health issue they finally decide to address. It may be a dream they finally decide to pursue seriously. There is a feeling of freedom that comes from action, not because everything becomes perfect immediately, but because movement replaces stagnation. One reason people stay stuck is because they focus too much on how far they have to go. They look at years of neglect and feel overwhelmed. They think about all the work required and lose motivation before they even begin. A better approach is to focus on what can be done today. Years of disorder do not have to be solved in a single week. A neglected area of life improves through consistent effort. One decision, one action, one improvement at a time. The person who improves their life is not always the smartest person. It is often the person who finally decides enough is enough. The person who becomes tired of making excuses. The person who becomes tired of watching opportunities pass by. The person who refuses to spend another year living the same way. There is something powerful about reaching that point. When you stop negotiating with your weaknesses and start demanding more from yourself, your mindset begins to change. You start seeing possibilities where you once saw limitations. You begin recognizing opportunities that were always there but went unnoticed because you were focused on your frustrations. Many people spend years wishing for confidence, yet confidence grows when you solve problems that have been waiting for your attention. Every challenge you handle becomes evidence that you are capable of more than you thought. Every improvement strengthens your belief in yourself. Your future is heavily influenced by the things you choose to address today. A small improvement repeated over time can create dramatic change. A new habit, practiced consistently, can transform an entire year. A better decision made daily can alter the direction of your life. That is why organization is not just about schedules or routines. It is about taking ownership of the areas you have neglected. It is about refusing to let another year pass without progress. It is about becoming the kind of person who acts instead of postpones. Many people keep waiting for a perfect moment to begin. They think life will calm down. They think motivation will suddenly appear. They think circumstances will become easier. But life rarely works that way. There will always be responsibilities. There will always be distractions. There will always be reasons to wait. The people who create change are the ones who stop waiting. They start where they are. They work with what they have. They focus on what they can control. You do not need a completely different life to move forward. You need a different response to the challenges already in front of you. You need a willingness to handle what has been ignored. You need the discipline to keep going after the excitement wears off. You need the patience to understand that meaningful change takes time. Think about where you could be 1 year from now if you finally addressed the areas you have neglected for years. Think about how different life could feel. Less stress, more clarity, more confidence, more control, more peace of mind. None of those things appear by accident. They are created through intentional action. They are built through responsibility. They are earned through consistency. There is no benefit in carrying old problems into your future. There is no reward for delaying growth. There is no advantage in staying stuck where you are. The sooner you begin fixing what has been neglected, the sooner your life begins moving in a new direction. You deserve more than endless frustration. You deserve more than repeated disappointment. You deserve the opportunity to become the person you know you can be. That opportunity begins when you stop looking away from the parts of life that need work. Do not measure yourself by what you failed to do in the past. Measure yourself by what you choose to do now. The past may explain your current situation, but it does not have to determine your future. What matters most is the decision you make today. Face what has been waiting for your attention. Repair what has been neglected. Strengthen what has become weak. Improve what has remained unchanged. Every step forward matters. Every effort counts. Because the life you want is often hidden behind the things you have been ignoring for years. The moment you start fixing them is the moment you start creating a better future. Chapter 4. Take control of your day from morning. One of the most important truths about an organized life is that your day often begins long before you realize it. The way you spend the first part of your morning has a powerful effect on everything that follows. Many people spend the rest of the day trying to recover from a poor start. They wake up late. They rush through everything. They immediately react to messages, notifications, and demands from other people. Before they know it, the day feels scattered. Their attention is divided. Their priorities are forgotten. By evening, they wonder why nothing important got done. A disorganized day rarely appears out of nowhere. It usually begins with a disorganized morning. When you start your day without direction, you spend the next several hours reacting instead of leading. Life begins pulling you in different directions. Small distractions take over. Urgent tasks replace important ones. You stay busy, but your progress remains small. Think about how many people wake up and immediately hand control of their attention to something else. Some reach for their phones before their feet touch the floor. Some begin worrying about problems before they even get dressed. Some allow stress to set the tone for the entire day. They begin each morning feeling rushed, pressured, and behind. When that becomes a habit, organization becomes difficult. You cannot create order in your life if every morning begins with confusion. You cannot build momentum if your first actions are random. You cannot focus on meaningful goals if your attention is constantly being pulled away. The morning is an opportunity. It is a chance to decide who will be in charge. Will your circumstances control your day, or will you control your response to your circumstances? That decision is made much earlier than most people realize. There is something powerful about waking up with purpose. Not because every day feels exciting, not because every morning is easy. There will be mornings when you feel tired. There will be mornings when you would rather stay comfortable. There will be mornings when motivation is nowhere to be found. But successful people understand something important. The quality of their future depends more on their habits than on their feelings. Many people wait until they feel ready before they take action. Organized people create action first. They understand that energy often follows movement. They know that momentum grows when they begin doing what needs to be done. The first hour of your day deserves attention because it often influences the next 12. If you begin with focus, you increase the chances of making better decisions. If you begin with clarity, you reduce unnecessary stress. If you begin with intention, you become less vulnerable to distractions. This does not mean your morning must look perfect. It does not mean following a complicated routine. It does not require expensive tools or special programs. Simplicity often works best. Wake up. Prepare yourself for the day. Take a moment to think clearly. Decide what matters most. Start moving toward it. One reason people feel overwhelmed is because they never stop long enough to decide what deserves their attention. Everything feels equally important. Every request seems urgent. Every interruption feels unavoidable. The result is mental exhaustion. A better approach is to identify a few priorities before the day becomes crowded with noise. Ask yourself what absolutely needs progress today. What would make this day worthwhile? What task deserves your best attention? These questions create direction. They give your effort a target. Without direction, people drift. They move from one activity to another without purpose. Hours disappear. Opportunities are missed. Important work remains unfinished. At the end of the day, they feel frustrated because they were active, but not productive. Taking control of your morning helps prevent that cycle. It creates a sense of ownership. Instead of being pulled by circumstances, you begin moving according to your priorities. That shift may seem small, but it changes how you experience your entire day. Consider how different life feels when you know exactly what you need to accomplish. There is less confusion, less hesitation, less wasted energy. Your attention becomes stronger because it has somewhere useful to go. Many people underestimate how much confidence comes from keeping simple promises to themselves. Waking up when you said you would. Completing an important task before distractions take over. Following through on a commitment. These actions may seem ordinary, but they build trust. Trust in yourself is valuable. When you know you can rely on your own decisions, life becomes easier to manage. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop creating unnecessary delays. You become more decisive because your actions consistently support your intentions. An organized life is built on these daily moments. Not dramatic breakthroughs, not sudden transformations. Small choices repeated consistently. Getting up when the alarm rings. Preparing for the day instead of rushing through it. Focusing on priorities before reacting to demands. There will always be reasons to postpone important things. There will always be distractions competing for your attention. There will always be situations you cannot control, but your response remains within your control. The person who learns to guide the beginning of the day gains a significant advantage. They create structure where others create confusion. They create momentum where others create delay. They create progress where others create excuses. Think about the feeling of finishing something meaningful before most people have fully started their day. There is a quiet confidence that comes with it, a sense of accomplishment, a feeling that you are moving forward instead of standing still. That feeling affects everything. It influences your attitude. It influences your decisions. It influences how you handle challenges. Success often grows from these small victories because they create belief. They remind you that progress is possible. Do not underestimate the value of a strong start. A powerful morning is not about perfection. It is about intention. It is about refusing to begin the day carelessly. It is about choosing purpose over randomness. Every sunrise brings a new opportunity, a new chance to improve, a new chance to organize your life more effectively, a new chance to move closer to the person you want to become. You do not need to wait for a different season of life. You do not need ideal circumstances. You do not need more time. You need a decision to stop giving away the best part of your day, a decision to stop drifting through your mornings, a decision to become intentional about how you begin. Because when you take control of your morning, you increase your ability to take control of your afternoon. When you take control of your afternoon, you improve the quality of your evening. When you improve your days consistently, you improve your weeks. Improved weeks create better months. Better months build a stronger future. Your life is shaped one day at a time, and many of those days are shaped by how you choose to begin them. That is why taking control from the moment you wake up is not a small habit. It is one of the most important steps toward creating a life that feels organized, focused, and fully under your direction. Chapter 5. Clear the things draining your attention. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to organize their lives is not a lack of time. It is not a lack of intelligence. It is not even a lack of opportunity. The real problem is that their attention is being pulled in too many directions at the same time. They want to focus, but something is always competing for their mind. They want to make progress, but their energy is constantly being divided. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted, yet very little of real importance has been accomplished. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. Money can be earned again. Lost opportunities can sometimes be replaced. Time itself moves forward, no matter what happens. But attention determines what you do with your time. It determines where your effort goes. It determines whether your days create progress or frustration. Many people never stop to ask what is draining their attention. They simply accept feeling distracted as normal. They move through life with dozens of open concerns sitting in the back of their minds. Unfinished projects, unresolved problems, constant notifications, unnecessary commitments, negative relationships, endless entertainment. Small distractions that seem harmless on their own but become powerful when combined. Imagine trying to carry several heavy bags all day long. Eventually your body becomes tired. Now imagine carrying mental weight in the same way. Every unfinished responsibility demands a little attention. Every unnecessary obligation takes a little energy. Every distraction asks for a small piece of your focus. Before long, your mind becomes crowded. When the mind becomes crowded, organization becomes difficult. Clear thinking becomes difficult. Decision-making becomes difficult. You sit down to work on something important, but your thoughts keep jumping from one thing to another. You try to concentrate, but your attention refuses to stay in one place. You feel busy, yet somehow disconnected from your most important goals. The first step towards solving this problem is awareness. You must identify what is stealing your attention. Most people immediately think of their phones, social media, or entertainment. Those things certainly matter, but there are many other distractions that receive far less attention. Sometimes the biggest distraction is unresolved stress. Sometimes it is worry about situations you cannot control. Sometimes it is spending too much time thinking about what other people are doing. Sometimes it is holding on to old disappointments. Sometimes it is constantly replaying mistakes from the past. A person can spend hours physically sitting at a desk while mentally being somewhere else entirely. Their body is present, but their attention is trapped in concerns that are producing no value. Organizing your life requires protecting your attention with the same seriousness that you protect your money. Most people are careful about where their money goes. They think before spending it. They try to avoid waste, yet they often give away their attention freely without considering the cost. Every distraction comes with a price. Every interruption requires mental energy to recover from. Every unnecessary commitment takes time away from something more important. Every habit that constantly breaks your concentration weakens your ability to focus deeply. Think about how many times during a day your attention changes direction. You begin one task, then a notification appears, then a message arrives, then you remember something unrelated, then you check something online, then another thought appears. Before you know it, 30 minutes have disappeared. This pattern creates frustration because deep down you know you are capable of more. You know there is potential inside you that is not being fully used. You know there are goals that deserve greater attention, yet the constant noise keeps getting in the way. The solution is not becoming perfect. The solution is becoming intentional. Start paying attention to what consistently pulls your focus away from what matters. Observe your habits honestly. Notice what happens when you sit down to work. Notice what interrupts your concentration. Notice what repeatedly consumes time without improving your life. Many people discover that they are spending enormous amounts of energy on things that do not deserve it. They worry about opinions they cannot control. They follow arguments that have nothing to do with their future. They spend hours consuming information they never use. They allow minor issues to dominate their thinking. A more organized life requires stronger boundaries. Not because you want to isolate yourself from the world, but because you want your attention working for you instead of against you. There is a huge difference between being informed and being distracted. There is a huge difference between staying connected and becoming consumed. There is a huge difference between relaxing and escaping from responsibility. You must learn to recognize that difference. You must become selective about what deserves space in your mind. Not every problem requires your attention. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Not every request deserves an immediate response. The people who achieve meaningful progress often have one thing in common. They know what deserves their focus. They understand that attention scattered across too many things produces weak results. They choose carefully. They direct their energy toward priorities. They eliminate what does not support their goals. This requires courage, because removing distractions is not always comfortable. Sometimes it means saying no. Sometimes it means changing habits. Sometimes it means spending less time in places that constantly pull you away from what matters. Sometimes it means accepting temporary discomfort in exchange for long-term improvement. But the reward is worth it. A clear mind feels different. A focused day feels different. Life becomes easier to manage when your attention is no longer being pulled apart from every direction. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You complete tasks more efficiently. You feel more present in your own life. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the ability to focus fully on what matters most. In a world full of distractions, focus has become a competitive advantage. It allows ordinary effort to produce extraordinary results. It allows simple habits to create meaningful change. It allows goals to become reality. Take a close look at your life. Identify what keeps draining your attention. Be honest. Do not judge yourself. Simply observe. Find the habits, activities, thoughts, and commitments that repeatedly pull you away from your priorities. Then begin clearing them out one by one. Not all at once, not through dramatic changes, through consistent decisions, through small improvements, through greater awareness. The more attention you recover, the more power you gain over your life. The more focus you protect, the easier it becomes to stay organized. The more intentional you become, the less control distractions have over you. Your future depends on where your attention goes today. Every goal you want to achieve requires focus. Every improvement requires concentration. Every meaningful accomplishment requires sustained effort. Stop allowing unnecessary distractions to consume your best energy. Stop giving away your attention to things that add no value. Stop treating focus as something that will appear automatically. Guard it carefully. Direct it intentionally. Use it wisely. Because when you clear away the things draining your attention, you create space for growth, progress, clarity, and a life that feels far more organized and under your control. Chapter 6. Put your priorities back in order. One of the biggest reasons people feel lost, overwhelmed, and disorganized is not because they have too many responsibilities. The real problem is that they have lost sight of what matters most. When priorities become unclear, life becomes confusing. Everything starts competing for attention. Small things begin receiving the same importance as major things. Urgent tasks push aside meaningful goals. Before long, a person finds themselves working hard every day, but moving very little in the direction they truly want to go. Take a moment and think about how many people spend years focused on things that do not improve their lives. They invest countless hours in distractions. They worry about situations that bring no value. They chase approval from people who are not helping them grow. Meanwhile, their health, goals, finances, personal growth, and relationships receive less attention than they deserve. Life becomes difficult when priorities are out of order. Many people say they want success, but their daily actions are focused somewhere else. They say they want better health, yet they consistently ignore habits that would improve it. They say they want financial freedom, yet they spend very little time learning, planning, or improving their financial situation. They say they want peace of mind, yet they continue filling their lives with unnecessary stress. The truth is simple. What receives your attention grows. What gets neglected weakens. Your life today is giving you clues about your priorities. Look at how you spend your time. Look at where your energy goes. Look at what receives your focus. Those things reveal what is truly important to you, regardless of what you say. This realization can be uncomfortable. Many people discover a gap between what they claim matters and what they actually invest their effort in. But this awareness is valuable because it creates an opportunity for change. An organized life requires alignment. Your actions need to support your goals. Your daily habits need to support your future. Your decisions need to reflect your values. When these things begin working together, life starts feeling more stable. Think about how easy it is to become distracted by things that seem important in the moment. A random notification appears. An unexpected request arrives. Someone else's priorities suddenly become your problem. The day starts with good intentions, but hours disappear without meaningful progress. This happens because many people have never clearly defined their priorities. If everything feels important, then nothing receives proper attention. When every task sits at the same level in your mind, decision-making becomes difficult. Organized people understand something important. Not all tasks carry equal value. Not all opportunities deserve the same amount of energy. Not every activity contributes to a better future. That understanding allows them to focus on what matters most. Imagine a person who spends every day handling minor issues while ignoring major goals. Week after week they stay busy. Month after month they remain occupied. Yet years later they wonder why life looks almost the same. Their effort was real, but it was directed toward the wrong things. Hard work alone is not enough. Direction matters. A person moving quickly in the wrong direction will not reach the destination they desire. Progress requires clarity. It requires knowing what deserves your best attention and what does not. This is why you must regularly ask yourself important questions. What are the most important areas of my life right now? What deserves greater attention? What has been neglected? What activities are consuming time without producing meaningful results? Honest answers to these questions can change everything. Perhaps your health has been pushed aside while you focus on less important concerns. Perhaps your family has received leftovers instead of your best energy. Perhaps your dreams have been postponed while distractions occupy your schedule. Perhaps your finances need attention that has been delayed for too long. Once you identify these areas, you can begin making adjustments. Many people assume organizing life means managing tasks. In reality, it often means managing priorities. A person with clear priorities can handle a busy schedule more effectively than someone with endless free time but no direction. Priorities act as a filter. They help you decide what deserves a yes and what deserves a no. They help you determine where to invest your effort. They help you avoid wasting energy on things that do not contribute to your growth. One of the greatest skills you can develop is the ability to say no to what does not matter, so you can say yes to what does. This is not always easy. There will be pressure from other people. There will be tempting distractions. There will be opportunities that look attractive but do not align with your goals. Learning to stay focused requires discipline. Every successful person eventually learns that attention is limited, time is limited, energy is limited. Because these resources are limited, they must be used wisely. You cannot give your best effort to everything. You must choose. The quality of those choices shapes the quality of your future. Think about the people who achieve remarkable results. They are not necessarily more talented than everyone else. Often they are simply more focused. They know what matters. They know where they are going. They consistently direct their effort toward meaningful objectives. This focus creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence. When your priorities are clear, decision-making becomes easier. You waste less time debating. You experience less confusion. You become more intentional with your actions. Life feels lighter because you are no longer trying to carry everything at once. Many people suffer from self-created pressure because they treat every issue as equally important. They rush from one concern to another. They constantly feel behind. Their minds are crowded with competing demands. A better approach is to step back and identify what truly deserves attention. Not next month, not next year, right now. What matters most at this stage of your life? The answer may be improving your health. It may be strengthening your finances. It may be developing a skill. It may be building stronger relationships. It may be creating a better future for your family. Whatever the answer is, give it the attention it deserves. Stop allowing minor concerns to dominate your schedule. Stop investing your best energy into things that produce little value. Stop treating distractions as if they are priorities. A meaningful life is built through intentional choices. A productive life is built through focused effort. An organized life is built by putting the right things in the right order. Every day presents opportunities to move closer to what matters most. Every day offers decisions that either support your future or pull you away from it. Choose carefully. Your priorities are shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. The question is whether those priorities are helping you create the life you want. Put them back in order. Give your best attention to what truly matters. Protect your focus. Direct your energy wisely, because when your priorities are clear, your actions become clearer. When your actions become clearer, your results improve. And when your results improve consistently, your entire life begins to move in a better direction. Chapter 7. Finish the tasks you keep postponing. One of the fastest ways to create disorder in your life is to develop a habit of postponing important tasks. Every unfinished responsibility occupies space in your mind. Every delayed action creates additional pressure. Every commitment that remains incomplete follows you from one day to the next. Over time, these unfinished tasks begin stacking up. What once felt manageable starts feeling overwhelming. What could have been solved quickly becomes a source of stress that lasts for weeks, months, or even years. Many people do not realize how much mental energy they lose because of things they keep postponing. They tell themselves they will handle it tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Before they know it, a simple task has become a permanent resident in their thoughts. It appears during quiet moments. It shows up when they try to relax. It returns whenever they think about their goals. The problem is not always the size of the task. Sometimes the task itself is quite small. The real problem is the constant reminder that something remains unfinished. That reminder slowly affects confidence. It creates frustration because deep down you know what needs to be done, yet it continues sitting there untouched. Think about how many times you have completed something you delayed for a long time. Once it was finished, you probably wondered why you waited so long. The task was rarely as difficult as your mind made it seem. The stress came from postponement, not from action. Human beings often imagine the worst before they begin. They overestimate difficulty. They exaggerate discomfort. They convince themselves they need more time, more motivation, or better circumstances. Meanwhile, progress remains frozen. An organized life requires a different mindset. It requires becoming a person who finishes things. Not because every task is exciting, not because every responsibility is enjoyable, simply because unfinished work has consequences. When you consistently postpone important actions, you train yourself to break promises to yourself. This is a serious issue because self-trust is built through follow-through. Every time you decide to do something and then avoid it, you weaken confidence in your own ability to act. Over time, this creates doubt. You start questioning whether you will actually complete the things you plan. On the other hand, every finished task strengthens self-respect. Every completed responsibility sends a message to your mind that you are dependable. Every action reinforces the belief that you can trust yourself. That belief is powerful. Many people are searching for motivation when what they really need is completion. There is something deeply satisfying about closing open loops in your life. Finishing a project, making a decision, responding to something that has been waiting, taking care of a responsibility that has lingered for too long. Completion creates relief. Completion creates clarity. Completion creates momentum. Look closely at the areas of your life that feel chaotic. You will often discover a collection of unfinished tasks hiding beneath the surface, calls that were never made, plans that were never executed, responsibilities that remain incomplete, goals that were started but never finished. Every one of those unfinished items demands attention. They compete for space in your mind. They make it harder to focus on what truly matters because part of your energy remains attached to the past. Successful people understand the value of finishing. They know that progress is not created by endless planning. It is not created by talking about goals. It is not created by collecting ideas. Progress comes from execution. There is a huge difference between someone who constantly starts and someone who consistently finishes. Starting creates possibility. Finishing creates results. Many people love the excitement of beginning something new. A new goal feels exciting. A new project feels inspiring. A new plan creates hope. But once difficulty appears, enthusiasm fades. The task becomes less attractive. Attention shifts elsewhere. This pattern keeps people trapped. They become experts at starting and beginners at finishing. An organized life demands a stronger standard. It requires staying committed after the excitement disappears. It requires continuing when the work feels ordinary. It requires showing up even when motivation is low. The truth is that many of life's greatest rewards are hidden behind consistency. They belong to people who continue long after others quit. They belong to people who finish what they begin. Think about how much lighter life feels when responsibilities are handled promptly. Decisions are made. Tasks are completed. Commitments are honored. There is a sense of freedom that comes from knowing you are dealing with life instead of avoiding it. This freedom is available to anyone willing to change their habits. One useful question to ask yourself is simple. What task have I been carrying longer than necessary? The answer may appear immediately. Perhaps it is something related to your career. Perhaps it involves your finances. Perhaps it is a conversation that needs to happen. Perhaps it is a goal that has been sitting untouched for months. Whatever it is, stop waiting for perfect conditions. Perfection is often the excuse that postponement hides behind. People tell themselves they need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect opportunity. Meanwhile, valuable time continues passing. Action creates progress. Progress creates improvement. Improvement creates confidence. The first step is usually much smaller than people imagine. You do not need to solve everything today. You simply need to begin moving. One action, one decision, one completed step. Momentum works in your favor once movement begins. Finishing one task often creates energy to finish another. Accomplishment builds motivation far more effectively than endless thinking. Many people spend too much time thinking about work instead of doing it. They analyze, they worry, they delay. Yet the moment they finally take action, they discover that progress feels better than procrastination ever did. Life becomes easier to organize when unfinished tasks stop piling up. Your mind becomes clearer, your attention becomes stronger. Your confidence grows because you are consistently proving to yourself that you can handle responsibility. Remember that every postponed task carries a hidden cost. It consumes attention. It creates pressure. It occupies mental space that could be used for growth and creativity. You deserve better than a life filled with unfinished business. You deserve the satisfaction that comes from completion. You deserve the confidence that comes from keeping your commitments. Stop carrying tasks longer than necessary. Stop making tomorrow responsible for what can be handled today. Stop allowing delay to become a habit. Choose action. Choose follow-through. Choose completion. Because every time you finish something important, you bring more order into your life. Every responsibility you handle strengthens your character. Every commitment you honor increases your confidence. And when finishing becomes a habit, organization stops feeling like a struggle. It becomes part of who you are. You become someone who takes action, follows through, and creates results. That kind of person is always moving forward, always growing, and always building a life that feels more organized, more intentional, and more fully under control. Chapter 8. Create a life that feels manageable. Many people are not struggling because life is impossible. They are struggling because life feels heavier than it needs to be. Every day feels like a race. Every responsibility feels urgent. Every problem seems bigger than it actually is. They wake up already feeling behind. They move through the day carrying pressure. They go to bed thinking about everything that still needs to be done. After a while, this becomes exhausting. One of the most important goals of organizing your life is not to become busier. It is not to fill every hour with activity. It is not to create a schedule so strict that there is no room to breathe. The real goal is to create a life that feels manageable, a life where responsibilities have a place, a life where your mind is not constantly overloaded, a life where you can move forward without feeling overwhelmed by everything around you. Many people have unknowingly built lives that are too complicated. They have too many commitments, too many unfinished plans, too many unnecessary worries, too many demands competing for attention. Over time, all these things combine to create a constant feeling of pressure. The problem is that pressure often becomes familiar. People live with it for so long that they begin believing it is normal. They assume everyone feels overwhelmed all the time. They assume stress is simply part of adulthood. They assume exhaustion is unavoidable. But there is a difference between having responsibilities and carrying unnecessary burdens. A person can have a full life and still feel calm. Another person can have fewer responsibilities and still feel overwhelmed. The difference is often found in how their life is structured. Think about what happens when everything feels urgent. Your mind begins jumping from one concern to another. You struggle to focus. Decisions become harder. Small setbacks feel bigger than they are. Simple tasks start feeling difficult because your mental energy is already stretched thin. This is why creating a manageable life matters so much. It allows you to use your energy more effectively. It gives you room to think clearly. It allows you to focus on what matters without constantly feeling pulled in every direction. One important lesson is that not everything deserves your attention at the same time. Many people try to solve every problem immediately. They want to improve every area of life all at once. They want instant results in health, finances, career, relationships, and personal growth. When progress does not happen quickly enough, frustration appears. Life becomes easier when you stop trying to carry everything at once. You do not have to solve every issue today. You do not have to complete every goal this week. You do not have to fix every challenge immediately. Progress happens step by step. A manageable life is built through realistic expectations. It is built through patience. It is built through understanding that meaningful growth takes time. Many people create unnecessary stress by expecting too much from themselves in too little time. They create impossible schedules. They overload their days. They leave no space for rest, reflection, or recovery. Eventually, they become discouraged because they cannot maintain the pace they set. Sustainable progress always beats temporary intensity. The person who consistently makes small improvements often achieves more than the person who repeatedly pushes themselves to extremes and burns out. There is wisdom in creating systems that support your life instead of fighting against it. A simple routine can reduce confusion. A clear schedule can reduce stress. A clean environment can improve focus. Small habits can eliminate countless daily frustrations. These things may seem ordinary, but their impact is significant. Think about how much energy gets wasted when life feels disorganized, looking for things that should be easy to find, forgetting important responsibilities, constantly rushing because nothing is planned, repeating avoidable mistakes because there is no system in place. When life becomes more organized, those problems begin disappearing. You spend less time reacting and more time acting with purpose. You make better decisions because your mind has space to think. Another important part of creating a manageable life is learning your limits. Many people struggle because they say yes too often. They accept responsibilities they cannot handle. They take on commitments they do not have time for. They constantly add new obligations without removing old ones. Eventually, the pressure becomes overwhelming. A strong life requires boundaries. You must protect your time. You must protect your energy. You must understand that every commitment comes with a cost. Saying yes to one thing often means saying no to something else. The people who appear most organized are not necessarily doing more than everyone else. In many cases, they are simply more selective. They choose carefully. They focus on what matters. They avoid unnecessary complications. This creates space. Space to think. Space to grow. Space to enjoy life. Too many people spend years chasing success while completely neglecting peace of mind. They become productive but exhausted, busy but unhappy, active but disconnected from what truly matters. A manageable life creates balance. It allows ambition and well-being to exist together. It allows progress without constant pressure. There is also something important to understand about mental clutter. Just because something is occupying your thoughts does not mean it deserves to stay there. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy worrying about things they cannot control. They replay old mistakes. They imagine future problems. They carry unnecessary fears. A more organized life requires mental discipline. You must learn to focus on what can actually be influenced. You must stop giving attention to concerns that produce no solutions. You must stop feeding problems that only exist in your imagination. The more mental space you create, the easier life becomes to manage. Imagine waking up knowing exactly what needs your attention. Imagine feeling confident about your schedule. Imagine having systems that support your goals. Imagine ending the day knowing that meaningful progress was made. That feeling is not reserved for a special group of people. It can be created through deliberate choices. Small improvements made consistently transform the quality of life. Better planning, better boundaries, better habits, better focus. These changes may appear simple, but they create powerful results over time. You do not need a perfect life. You do not need perfect circumstances. You do not need everything figured out. You simply need a life that works. A life where responsibilities are manageable. A life where priorities are clear. A life where stress does not control every decision. A life where you can focus on growth without feeling overwhelmed. That kind of life is possible. It begins when you stop adding unnecessary complexity. It begins when you stop carrying burdens that do not belong to you. It begins when you start creating systems that make daily life easier instead of harder. Organization is not about perfection. It is about creating a structure that supports your future. It is about reducing unnecessary chaos. It is about building a life that feels stable, clear, and manageable. Because when life feels manageable, you gain something incredibly valuable. You gain the ability to focus on becoming the person you are capable of becoming, and that is where real growth begins. Chapter 9. Stay organized even on difficult days. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that organization only matters when life is going well. Anyone can stay organized when they feel motivated, energetic, and focused. Anyone can follow a plan when everything is running smoothly. Anyone can stay disciplined when there are no major problems demanding attention. The real test comes when life becomes difficult. The real test comes when stress appears. The real test comes when things do not go according to plan. Every person experiences difficult days. There will be days when you wake up feeling exhausted. There will be days when unexpected problems interrupt your schedule. There will be days when your emotions feel heavy. There will be days when responsibilities seem larger than usual. There will be days when you simply do not feel like doing what needs to be done. Those days reveal the difference between temporary organization and lasting organization. Many people create good habits when they feel inspired. Then, one difficult week arrives and everything falls apart. Their routines disappear, their plans are abandoned, their progress stops. When life becomes challenging, they return to old patterns. This happens because they built their system around motivation instead of commitment. Motivation is valuable, but it is unreliable. Some mornings you will feel excited, some mornings you will not. Some days you will have energy, some days you will feel drained. If your ability to stay organized depends entirely on how you feel, your results will always be inconsistent. An organized life requires something stronger. It requires the ability to stay steady, even when circumstances are unstable. Think about how easy it is to abandon good habits during difficult periods. A stressful situation appears. Suddenly routines seem less important. Planning feels unnecessary. Small tasks begin getting ignored. One missed day becomes several missed days. Before long, disorder returns. The problem is not the difficult day itself. The problem is allowing one difficult day to become a difficult week, a difficult month, or a difficult year. Life will never provide perfect conditions. There will always be unexpected situations. There will always be moments that test your patience. There will always be circumstances outside your control. Waiting for life to become easy before staying organized is a strategy that never works. Strong people learn how to maintain structure during difficult seasons. They understand that challenging times are exactly when organization becomes most important. Imagine facing a stressful week with no plan, no routine, and no structure. Everything feels heavier, decisions become harder, problems seem larger. Now, imagine facing the same week with clear priorities, organized systems, and healthy habits already in place. The challenges still exist, but your ability to handle them improves dramatically. Organization creates stability. When emotions are fluctuating, structure provides guidance. When life feels uncertain, routines provide consistency. When pressure increases, preparation reduces confusion. Many people underestimate how much strength comes from maintaining simple habits during difficult periods. Making your bed, following your schedule, keeping your environment organized, completing important responsibilities. These actions may seem small, but they send an important message to your mind. They remind you that not everything is falling apart. They remind you that you still have control over certain parts of your life. That feeling matters more than most people realize. During difficult times, people often focus entirely on what is going wrong. Their attention becomes consumed by problems. They begin feeling powerless because they focus on things they cannot change. A better approach is to identify what remains within your control. You may not control the challenge itself. You may not control what happened. You may not control other people, but you can still control your actions. You can still control your attitude. You can still control how you respond. That mindset creates resilience. Resilience is not pretending everything is fine. Resilience is continuing to move forward even when things are not fine. It is maintaining standards when excuses would be easier. It is protecting progress during periods when quitting seems tempting. Many people think successful individuals never struggle. The truth is that successful people experience setbacks just like everyone else. The difference is that they do not allow setbacks to completely destroy their routines. They adjust, they adapt, they keep moving. An organized life does not require perfection. There will be days when you accomplish less than expected. There will be days when plans need to change. There will be days when life demands flexibility. The goal is not perfect execution. The goal is staying connected to your habits and priorities, even when conditions are difficult. Think about how much progress can be protected through consistency. A person who continues showing up, even at a reduced level, often achieves more than someone who repeatedly stops and starts. Consistency creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates persistence. This cycle becomes especially valuable during hard times. One of the greatest dangers of difficult days is the temptation to abandon everything. A person misses one workout and stops exercising completely. They fall behind on one goal and stop working toward it. They experience one setback and begin doubting themselves. This all-or-nothing mindset creates unnecessary suffering. Life is not about perfection. Life is about recovery. The important question is not whether difficult days will happen. They will. The important question is how quickly you return to your standards afterward. Can you continue moving forward even when progress feels slow? Can you continue organizing your life when motivation is absent? Can you continue showing discipline when emotions are pulling you in another direction? These questions determine long-term success. There is tremendous power in becoming someone who remains reliable regardless of circumstances, someone who continues taking care of responsibilities, someone who protects their habits. someone who refuses to let temporary challenges create permanent setbacks. That kind of person develops strength that cannot be easily shaken, because every difficult day successfully managed becomes evidence of your resilience. Every challenge handled with discipline strengthens your character. Every obstacle faced with determination increases your confidence. Over time, you stop fearing difficult days because you trust your ability to handle them. You know that one bad day does not define you. You know that one setback does not erase your progress. You know that one challenge does not determine your future. This perspective creates peace of mind. You begin understanding that difficult days are simply part of life. They are not signs that you are failing. They are opportunities to practice the habits, discipline, and organization you have been building. Anyone can stay organized when everything feels easy. The true measure of personal growth appears when life becomes uncomfortable. That is when your habits matter most. That is when your routines matter most. That is when your commitment matters most. Continue showing up. Continue following your priorities. Continue taking responsibility. Continue protecting the structure you have worked hard to build. Because difficult days will eventually pass, stressful seasons will eventually end, challenges will eventually become lessons. But the strength you develop by staying organized during those moments will remain with you for years. And that strength will help you build a life that stays stable, focused, and under control no matter what circumstances appear along the way. Chapter 10. Become the person who has control. As you reach this point, it is important to understand something that many people never fully realize. Organizing your life is not really about planners, calendars, schedules, or systems. Those things can help, but they are not the true goal. The real goal is becoming a person who has control, not control over everything that happens in life. No one has that. Not control over other people, not control over the economy, the weather, or unexpected events. The control that matters most is control over yourself. When people say their life feels out of control, they are usually describing something deeper. They feel like their days are running them instead of the other way around. They feel like distractions are making decisions for them. They feel like habits are stronger than intentions. They feel like responsibilities are piling up faster than they can manage them. That feeling creates frustration, because every human being wants a sense of direction. Every person wants to believe they have influence over their future. Every person wants to feel capable of handling life's challenges. When that feeling disappears, discouragement begins to grow. The good news is that control is not something you are born with. It is something you build. It is developed through choices. It is strengthened through daily actions. It grows every time you do what needs to be done, even when you do not feel like doing it. Think about the person you were when this journey began. Perhaps there were areas of life that felt messy. Perhaps responsibilities were being ignored. Perhaps stress was creating confusion. Perhaps important goals were being pushed aside. Now think about everything that has been learned along the way. You faced reality honestly. You stopped avoiding things that needed attention. You worked on neglected areas of life. You learned the importance of starting your day with purpose. You cleared distractions. You reorganized priorities. You focused on finishing what you started. You built a more manageable lifestyle. You learned how to stay consistent, even during difficult moments. All of these lessons point toward one outcome: personal control. Every improvement you make strengthens your ability to direct your life instead of simply reacting to it. Many people spend years hoping life will somehow become easier. They wait for circumstances to improve. They wait for motivation to arrive. They wait for confidence to appear. They wait for someone else to provide answers. Meanwhile, time continues moving forward. The people who create meaningful change eventually stop waiting. They realize that progress begins when they take ownership of their situation. They stop focusing on what they cannot control and start focusing on what they can. This shift changes everything. A person with control understands that emotions are real, but they do not have to become the leader of every decision. A person with control understands that setbacks happen, but they do not have to become permanent. A person with control understands that fear may appear, but it does not have to determine action. Control creates stability. It creates confidence because you know you can depend on yourself. One of the most powerful feelings in life is knowing that you can trust your own decisions. Knowing that when you make a commitment, you follow through. Knowing that when a challenge appears, you respond instead of avoiding it. Knowing that when something needs attention, you address it instead of postponing it indefinitely. This kind of trust cannot be purchased. It cannot be borrowed from someone else. It is earned through action. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens it. Every responsibility you handle reinforces it. Every difficult choice you make builds it. Over time, you begin seeing yourself differently. You stop viewing yourself as someone who is constantly trying to get organized. You start seeing yourself as an organized person. You stop viewing yourself as someone who is always struggling with discipline. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. You stop viewing yourself as someone who reacts to life. You start seeing yourself as someone who directs life. Identity matters because people tend to act according to how they see themselves. If you see yourself as disorganized, you will often behave that way. If you see yourself as unreliable, your actions will reflect that belief. But when you begin seeing yourself as responsible, focused, and capable, your behavior starts changing. That change does not happen overnight. It develops through repetition. Small decisions repeated consistently become habits. Habits repeated consistently become character. Character repeated consistently shapes destiny. This is why every choice matters. The decision to plan your day matters. The decision to keep your environment organized matters. The decision to follow through matters. The decision to stay focused matters. The decision to act when you would rather delay matters. Each of these choices contributes to the person you are becoming. Many people underestimate the power of personal responsibility because it sounds simple. Yet responsibility is one of the most transformative forces in life. The moment you take responsibility, excuses lose power. Blame loses power. Victim thinking loses power. You stop waiting for life to change and begin changing your response to life. That is where growth lives. That is where confidence grows. That is where strength develops. There will still be challenges ahead. No organized life is completely free from problems. There will still be unexpected situations. There will still be stressful seasons. There will still be obstacles that test your patience and determination. But you will face them differently, because now you understand something important. Organization is not about controlling every outcome. It is about controlling your preparation. It is about controlling your habits. It is about controlling your effort. It is about controlling your response. Those areas belong to you, and those areas have tremendous influence over the quality of your life. Imagine the future version of yourself 1 year from now. Imagine someone who consistently handles responsibilities, someone who follows through on commitments, someone who knows what matters and gives attention to it, someone who maintains order instead of constantly reacting to chaos. That future version is not created by luck. That future version is created by today's decisions. The path is already in front of you. Continue practicing what you have learned. Continue protecting your attention. Continue finishing important tasks. Continue making intentional decisions. Continue improving one day at a time. Remember that becoming organized is not a destination you reach once and then forget about. It is a way of living. It is a commitment to maintaining standards. It is a commitment to taking responsibility for the direction of your life. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have every answer. You do not need to get everything right. You simply need to continue moving forward with purpose. Because the person who has control is not the person with the easiest life. The person who has control is the one who takes ownership. The one who stays disciplined when distractions appear. The one who stays focused when circumstances become difficult. The one who keeps moving forward when excuses would be easier. Become that person. Build that identity. Protect that mindset. And as you continue doing so, you will discover something powerful. The more control you develop over yourself, the less control chaos has over your life. That is where real organization begins. That is where lasting confidence is built. And that is where the strongest version of you is waiting.